Okay, I'm ready. So I'm going to share my screen now and we'll get going. There we go. Bianca, can you see that okay? All right, guys.
All good from my end.
Excellent, thank you. So as I mentioned briefly, I work for a company called Broome, Kimberley Beyond. We're a specialised wholesaler and we've been around for 20 years, and basically means we have a lot of good relationships with a lot of product out in Australia. So we can help where2travel put you on a product that you would really enjoy. So I'm going to go through a few of those products today and hopefully give you some inspiration. Now, we do have a couple of brochures. You can either download these from the website, or if you do want a hard copy, just let us know and I can get a copy to you. All right, we're going to start off in Western Australia in the Broome Kimberley region. As probably some of you are aware, the Kimberley region is a large place. It's actually 3 times the size of England and twice the size of Victoria, and it is spread out over Australia's entire northwestern country. But it's absolutely amazing. You've got amazing wildlife, canyons, freshwater swimming holes, rugged escarpments, Aboriginal culture, and several outback stations within the area. And honestly, I can say it's probably one of Australia's greatest four-wheel drive road trips on the Gibb River Road. But despite its remoteness, it's a great place for food, luxury accommodation, friendly locals, and one of the most romantic beach towns on the earth in Broome. So what I'm going to talk about today is how you can see this area. So first off, we're going to start talking about the cruising, which is from, now hopefully you can see my cursor on the screen. We're going to go from Broome to Wynnum, and some of the cruises will go from Broome to Darwin and vice versa. And then the red road, which heads through the centre there, that's the Gibb River Road. That's 660 kilometres of forward driving, so bumping up and down, otherwise known as the Kimberley Massage. So without further ado, let's just show you a few pretty pictures. Now, with the Kimberley cruising, there's actually quite a few, a range of vessels up in the Kimberley region, anything from only 12 guests on board to the largest one up there, which has 170 people on board. So it really does depend what you are after, how many people you want on board, and how close you want to get to the wilderness in this particular area. And of course, your budget. Some are cheaper than others are more luxurious. Now, 2021, hopefully by then we will be out of Victoria and be able to leave Victoria. So there are still some dates available in 2021, but they are scattered throughout the season. So the season does start April and ends around September time. If you can't find the date that you want on the vessel you want, I do suggest looking in 2022, and the dates and prices are already out. Now, we often have bonuses with the cruises up there, some which I will share with you today, and where2travel will be able to book all this for you. We can also package it with the train. So I'm sure a lot of you would have heard of the Ghan and the Indian Pacific. We can package it with that, or any touring pre and post a Kimberley cruise. All right, so let's just show you a couple of the cruises that we deal with. Now, these two, the True North and the Great Escape, are two of the more luxurious vessels in the area. They are both very small. True North, as you can see there, only has 36 guests on board with 22 crew. Now, both of these vessels have been purposely built to explore the upper regions of the shallow river systems that you find in this area. True North does have the mantra, the clients do what they want when they want. And the reason they can do this is they do actually carry 6 adventure boats behind the big boat you see on the screen there. Very luxurious. There's actually 3 different levels of accommodation there, and they have itineraries ranging from 7 nights all the way up 13 nights. They also do a cruise around the Rolly Shoals, which is about 500 kilometres, would you say, west of Broome. That's very much a diving and snorkeling adventure, that one. The Great Escape is a 14 guests on board. Absolutely beautiful vessel. I was very lucky and went on this one last year. It had a full refurb both inside and outside last year. And again, it has different length tours from 4 nights to 6 nights to 13 nights. Now, both of these vessels have a helicopter permanently on board, which means you do have to pay a little bit more each time you go on it, but it means you get to places that so few humans have been to. I went on one where I got taken to the top of King George Falls, and then further inland to an Aboriginal rock art site that's only just been discovered. With Great Escape, slightly different is you pre-order your wine or champagne or spirits at a bottle shop prices. So when you arrive on the vessel, the alcohol that you want to drink is already on the vessel, rather than the bar situation where some of your favorite gins might not be stocked. But both absolutely amazing vessels, and there's that little bit of relaxed luxury up in the Kimberley. Now, at the lead-in end of the scale, so the cheaper vessels in the region, you have two. One is the Kimberley Pearl, and the other one is the Eco Abrolis. Both of them, again, are small. So Kimberley Pearl only takes 12 clients on board. All the cabins on all the vessels are air conditioned and have their own ensuite as well. Now, with the Kimberley Pearl, it actually used to be a pearl lugger up around Broome, so it's got some great history there. So it only started sailing in the Kimberley region probably about 3-4 years ago. As with all of the vessels you see on the screens today, they all include the meals, fishing equipment, and if you want to, and sometimes internet, but I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Now, the Eco Abrolis, a slightly bigger vessel, it is a catamaran and has 17 air-conditioned cabins there. They do only a 13-day trip from Broome to Darwin. So again, this one has only been up there for 3 or 4 years. So little bit less experience of the skippers, whereas the True North and the Great Escape, which I spoke about before, they've been in the area for about 20 years. Now, we're just going to the other end of the scales, the larger vessels in the area. So Silver Seas has been up there for a while, although they weren't planning on going this year, but they're coming back next year with one of their new vessel to the area, Silver Explorer. So apologies for the photo there. Obviously, you can see that's not in the Kimberley, but they haven't got up there yet, so I had no photos of the Kimberley there. Now, with this one, it's 144 passengers on board, 12 Zodiacs, expedition team. It's got a lecture theatre, a library, a fitness centre. All the cabins, as I mentioned before, are ensuited. Some of these do have balconies. And the beautiful thing about Silver Seas, it does have the grill, which is an outdoor bar and lava stone cooking, which is pretty special in the middle of the Kimberley region. Then the next two vessels in the region are the larger vessels are Coral Expeditions and Pennant. Now, Coral Expeditions has a new vessel coming in 2021 called Coral Geographer, and I will show you a couple of photos of what the boat looks like in a minute. But this is actually Australian owned, so it has been cruising the area for a long time. Only 120 guests on board. The beauty of this particular vessel, it does have an Explorer. Now, the Explorer, I will show again a photo in a minute, but this Explorer gets pulled up to the side of the vessel. Everybody walks on, then it gets lowered into the ocean. So if you maybe got a dodgy knee and can't climb into a Zodiac very easily, then this is a really good one to go on. They also have a lift on board to get you between the levels of the vessel. Now, Pennant, they're actually having 2 vessels in Kimberley's next year, and I'm sure some of you have heard of Pennant because they all do cruise all the way around the world. Now, they have actually 92 staterooms, but they only take about 170 people on board. Now, this again, a brand new vessel where they're only 2 years old, so it's beautiful. Infinity pool, it's got an underwater bar, so underwater lounge where you can go into there and see any of the underwater animals swimming outside. You've got 2 dining areas, you've got a hospital and a laboratory on board, and first-time cruises do get $400 off per person. Now, I'm sure you're aware, you know, with what's happening in the world, all these different cruise liners do have their own COVID safe conditions, and Pennant's actually very lucky, and they've already done 50 sailings this year over in France, but it has worked out very well. For example, every piece of luggage is disinfected before it goes on board. There's 1.5 social distancing, continuously cleaning of public areas. No buffets, so none of the vessels will have buffets at the moment. And when they have a lecture, because The big ones like Penant, Coral and Silverseas do have a lecture theatre on board, so they only have 50% in there at any one time. So depending on the vessel you choose to go on will depend on exactly what their rules and regulations are. Now, as I mentioned, I just want to show you a couple of the new photos of inside the vessel. So Coral Geographer is the twin sister to Coral Adventurer, and that will be new to the area in 2021. So this is the Explorer that I was talking about. As you can see, it's been raised to the side of the big vessel, and then everybody just walks on, and then that vessel gets lowered into the ocean. This is one of the dining room areas. And then this is the Explorer deck balcony. As you can see, big, beautiful windows. This is a twin, but you can also have doubles. And the balcony outside. So on Coral, not every single room will have a balcony. And this is their bathroom, so you can see quite spacious. Now, if you want to pay a little bit more, then you can. And this is the bridge deck balcony. As you can see, bigger room, and it also has an extra window there as well, and a big bath, infinity bathtub with sky views in their bathroom. And then with Coral, they also have a bar on the top deck, as well as a dining room area and a lounge as well. So that's just a few photos, because obviously I haven't got a lot of time to show you, but I just wanted to show you inside one of the vessels there. Now, some new Australian cruises, just while we talk about Penant, is the Highlights of Southern Australia and also the Chairman's Cruise. So you'll find a lot of cruises or cruise companies within Australia are looking outside the box and starting to do just go away from the Kimberleys and also do other areas of the of Australia. So it's worth just contacting one of your consultant at where2travel, and they'll be able to help you out. All right, specials, which I mentioned earlier. So the first one is with the Penant. We have 2 departures, one on the 18th of May and one on the 17th of July, where you basically get bonus nights accommodation, and it's all your meals. You have a complimentary excursion, transfers, all for just under $12,000 there per person, twin share. So there's only a couple of cabins left on both of those particular departures. And then Silverseas, now this bonus only came out on Friday, so there's still a little bit of availability, but this is even better. This has got 4 nights accommodation in Broome. It's got a Discover Broome tour, a full day to Willie Creek, which is where you go and see where the pearls, it's got a big pearl farm there, so you get to learn a little bit about how pearls are harvested. A full day up to Cape Leveque, which is up from up north from Broome. Obviously the cruise itself, on 2 departures on the 4th of July or the 3rd of August. So all the girls and boys at where2travel will be able to help you out with these bonus offers. All right, so what do you see in the Kimberley coast? This is probably the most important thing. And again, I can't go through absolutely everything, but I'm just pointing out a couple of the beautiful areas that I absolutely love up there. So King George Falls, it is nothing short of breathtaking, as you can see there. Each of those cliffs are 80 meters high, and just got a varying degree of weathering, and it's actually Walton sandstone there. So as you're going along, the colors and the textures change all the time. It's just continually changing scenery. As you head up King George River, you will get to King George Falls, which is right at the end. Now these are actually the highest single falls in the whole of the Kimberley region. As I mentioned, 80 meters or 260 foot high. They're actually fed by the wet season runoff. So at the beginning of the season, as I mentioned, March, April time, these waterfalls are absolutely powering. So if you want to see the waterfalls like this, you will need to go at the beginning of the season. So end of March, April, May time. And then the runoff starts to clear up, and so you don't get as much water running over them there. With me, going on the smaller vessel, the Great Escape, I actually had a shower. It wasn't quite so powerful as that, but the boats are small enough to put the bow of the boat right underneath that waterfall. So it's a pretty beautiful sight. And as I mentioned earlier, you can get to the top of King George Falls if you do go on a boat that has a helicopter, or there is a 200-meter walk up, and you can have a nice swim at the top there as well. Now the 200-meter, it's steep, but you don't have to go really fast. And if you're comfortable walking uphill, then absolutely you can get up there and go and have a swim. But remember, you do have to walk back down again. A lot of history in the area with the with World War II. There are a couple of plane wrecks. This one is a US Air Force DC-3, which crash landed on the beach in World War II. And so you actually have to walk across salt flats to get here. But once you get there, it's really interesting. You learn about why they crashed and what happened to the pilot and the people on board. Did they survive or not? They did. It's all good. A lot of Aboriginal rock art in this region as well, and you really can get up close to them. So this rock art has been dated to over 50,000 years old, and you get to learn on the bigger vessels. You do have naturalists or experts on board. So this is one of them from Penant. His name's Mick Fogg, and so you get to learn about the stories of the Dreamtime from the oldest continuous culture on the planet. Now, again, some of you would have heard of this, Montgomery Reef, one of those unforgettable moments that you will see when the Montgomery Reef rises out of the ocean as the tide ebbs. Now, what happens? You literally get on these little zodiacs as it's a plain body of water. Then the tides change and the reef rises out of the ocean. So very spectacular. The reef itself is 80 kilometers long, so pretty big. It's actually Australia's largest inshore reef. And at low tide, you can actually see 4 meters of the reef that it is exposed. And you can get so close to the reef, and you can possibly see turtles and manta rays or reef sharks that have been stuck in the area there. Back in the day, a long, long time ago, you used to be able to get out of the Zodiac and go for a walk. But obviously, this day and age, that's not allowed. Now, the other unique thing to see in the area is horizontal falls. So every cruise vessel will go here, and you can see from the mark on the wall there the tidal changes. So it can change. There's 12-meter tidal changes in the area. So every month, there's basically times of the month where there is a 12-meter drop. So you can literally whiz through on the Zodiac, the tides change, and you have this 12-meter drop. You have millions of liters of water forcing the way through that narrow gap in the cliffs there. David Attenborough has actually put it in his top 10 natural phenomena he's seen in the world. And it's definitely, I think, on a lot of people's bucket lists to see. Now, if you're interested in wildlife, then we do suggest going at the end of the season. So I'm talking July, August, September. July is when the humpback whales start migrating along the coastline. And it's actually one of the healthiest population of humpback whales anywhere in the world. So you will definitely see it. This photo was taken from the back of Penant last year. Now, Mitchell Falls, again, some of you would have heard of the waterfall up there. It is possible to see Mitchell Falls while you're on a cruise, but you'd have to jump on a helicopter, which does cost a little bit more money, but is pre-bookable with your where2travel consultant. Something I forgot to mention, with the smaller vessels, it does allow you to go fishing. So if you're into fishing, you have to go on one of the smaller vessels because they have all the equipment. It's easy to get out there. That is me with my only fish that I caught, but barramundi was caught, Spanish mackerel was caught, and then we went mud crabbing. That poor little mud crab was in our bellies literally half an hour later. And then one morning we spent catching all those, getting around and getting the oysters off the rocks. So it really, all the cruises are fantastic. They offer something a little bit different, but you're seeing the Kimberley, you're seeing the wilderness and the remoteness of this beautiful country. All right, so we're going to leave the cruise in. We're going to do self-driving now. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, 660 kilometers of Kimberley wilderness. Please make sure you are comfortable driving. It's not as easy as driving down the road in Melbourne. You do need to know how to change a tire. You need to have some driving capabilities there. But if you have, then absolutely, as is written on the screen there, it is simply not about getting from point to point. It is about the journey. So you do need to give yourself time and give yourself time and make sure you explore as much as you possibly can. As you probably are aware, the road is only accessible between May and September. Out of those times, it does get flooded because of the wet season, and so you physically can't drive over some of the roads. Now, pre-booking is essential. A lot of places are getting booked up already for 2021 because people who couldn't go in 2020 have rebooked for 2021. So if you are looking at self-driving, please get onto it ASAP. And the same also applies if you want to do a tour. Some of the tour companies up there are getting really full. There's still availability, but it might be not on the date that you want. So if you don't want to self-drive and you want to jump on a tour, we can help with that. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of APT, the fantastic company. They have 22 guests in their custom designed four-wheel drive on the area, and different length tours depending how long you want to be up there and what you want to see. We also work with other companies as well. So if you want a smaller, more intimate experience, we work with a company called InStyle Adventures, which is actually a family-owned company, very luxurious. The tours are guaranteed to go with a minimum of 2 people, and there's only a maximum of 8. So they do get a lot of families, a lot of groups. And I should also mention, sorry, I forgot to mention with the cruising, if you want to go as a group, those small vessels, the 12-seater or the 14 people on board, you can charter as a group as well. Now, with InStyle Adventures, the guys who run it are ex-APT guides. They've been in the area for a long, long time, and they have some amazing knowledge and some great places to take you. So where do you and what do you see on the Kimberley when you go inland? A lot of beautiful waterfalls. This is probably one of the most favorite ones of many people. It's called Bell Gorge, and it is absolutely beautiful and great for a swim, and you access this from Bell Gorge Wilderness Lodge. So a little bit of a walk to get there, but say once you're there, it is beautiful. And it is part of the King Leopold Ranges, and I know that name has changed, but for the life of me I can't remember what it's called now. The next waterfall, this is my favorite, this is absolutely beautiful, is Manning Gorge. This walk is about 7.2 kilometers return. There is minimum shade, so you have to make sure you wear sturdy shoes and take lots of water with you. But as you can see, once you get there, the walk is rewarded with this stunning tiered waterfall and obviously a swim in there as well. And then I'm sure some of you have heard of Equestria before. It's probably the most famous ex-cattle station in the region. You can see from the little map at the bottom, it's about an hour and a half drive from Kununurra. So you can drive into Kununurra. People do Equestria pre and post cruising, or a lot of the tour companies will take you there. Or if you just want a quick getaway from Melbourne, a lot of people do actually make the effort and flight into Kununurra and then head out to Equestria for 2 or 3 days. So this photo you see on the screen there is actually Emma Gorge, and it's a 3.2 kilometer walk into the gorge to go and have a swim in the waterfall there. So absolutely amazing. Equestria is just under 1 million acres big, so very different to my dad's farm in England, only 220 acres over there. But it's full of beautiful sandstone ranges and rainforests and thermal springs and beautiful gorges and waterfalls. So you will, or if you want to, you can see all of this if you do go to Equestria. So I just want to show you, there are different types of accommodation. First off is Emma Gorge. It has 60 safari tented cabins, all with ensuite, so it is a great way for the family or as couples to go there. It doesn't have aircon, so it does tend to open around May time, sorry. So it does, but they have beautiful breezes that go through, so you won't need the aircon there. It does tend to be a little bit quieter than the station, which is the central hub of Equestria. These do offer air-conditioned rooms, but there's only about 15 of them, so it is pretty, you have to get in there pretty quickly. You can also camp there on the side of the Pentecost River. It does get busy during high season, so I'm talking June, July, August time. Up to 800 campers can be there. So there is a nice pub and restaurant, and if you want to swim, you can jump into the river. And then if you want a little bit more of a relaxing private oasis, then you can jump to the homestead. So they only have 18 guests, so only 9 rooms here. And as you can see, it's perched on top of, it's called Chamberlain Gorge there. Now, Equestria is a fully inclusive package, so it does include your tours, your accommodation, your food, and your alcohol as well. There is a place up there called Zebedee Springs, which is a hot springs. So the general public can go there until midday, and then the homestead people will have access midday onwards just for the homestead people. And then a picture of what it looks like inside. So if you want to have a bath on the balcony overlooking the gorge, you can. Okay, so Just quickly, the other major attraction in the area is Bungles, and I'm sure again a lot of you would have heard of this. This was what blows my mind. This was only discovered in the 1980s, and it was discovered by a German film crew who were filming about cattle farms up in the region. So it's pretty amazing place to go to visit. You can do it if you're self-driving and spend a couple of nights there. You can also do it from a day trip from Caranara, jumping on a plane like this and flying over and landing and doing a couple of walks, or spending a night there. So there's lots of different ways you can see this area. One of the walks you'll see in the Bungles are the Cathedral Gorge. And this is actually, as you see hopefully there from the screen, it's a natural amphitheatre, which has an amazing acoustics and rock formations. And it's about a 4-kilometre return walk to this one. And then at the northern end of the national park, you had Echidna Chasm, which, as you can see there, has these amazing steep-sided gorge walls, which are about 200 meters high and just a meter in width. So pretty amazing place to go in and have a look. It's about a 2-kilometre walk to get here. And the other thing I love about it is it has prehistoric palms living in the region. So dinosaurs walked in this area. Now, the accommodation in this region, one of them is APT Wilderness Lodge, and this just gives you an idea of the glamping that you will have in the region. They're all ensuited and close to the main lodge facilities as well. Yeah, hot water and a flushing toilet as well. All right, we're going to quickly just talk about the air way of seeing the Kimberley. So if you want to, you can see the Kimberley region by a helicopter. It's not for the faint-hearted with the price, but if, hey, you're basically seeing the area from above and you're going to these amazing out there places. So hopefully you can see my cursor. You have the Buller River Station, you have Kimberley Coastal, and then Equestria. Every day you're flying along, and if there's a waterfall and the helicopter pilot can land there, he will. So you actually get to talk to the helicopter pilot the night before, and he finds out what your wants and needs are. Minimum 2 people, maximum 6 people, and there is a family itinerary as well, because those accommodations like the Berkeley don't take children. And then just very quickly, a couple of the unique luxury accommodations in the area. You've got Signet Bay Pearl Farm, which is 200 kilometers north of Broome. You have the Berkeley, which I just pointed out to you. And it's kind of like a resort in itself, because it does have a swimming pool and it does have a restaurant and daily activities. But these activities are boat cruising, fishing, driving on the beach on the 4-wheel drive, waterfalls, and there's only 20 cabins there, all with an outdoor shower and toilet, plus, as I say, that swimming pool. So about a 1.5 hour flight from Darwin, or a 45-minute flight from Caranara. And then again, I pointed out just before, Kimberley Coastal Camp. This is great for fishing. So if your clients love your fishing, get out there and just be in the middle of nowhere, basically. And also Faraway Bay is just along the coast from Kimberley Coastal Camp. Then we're going to head to Broome. Just want to let you know, Broome is really busy at the moment. A lot of people, a lot of Western Australia people obviously have been able to get up there. Fantastic place. Just if you want to spend a week there, you can quite easily spend a week just relaxing on Cable Beach, jumping on a camel, learning about the pearls. The center photo there is Ganthian Point, which is where the real dinosaur footprints are, so you can get to go and see them. But you can quite easily spend a week in Broome. Now, I did mention horizontal falls earlier. If you're not on a cruise, you can still see it if you go to Broome. I thoroughly recommend it. Booking it before you head to Broome. It does get booked out, and we in the Girls in Reservations were able to let where2travel consultants know when it's actually flowing, because the tides do change throughout the month, and sometimes it's not flowing. So you want to be able to get there when it's flowing and the waters are pumping. All right, we're going to leave the Kimberley region now and just quickly head down the Coral Coast, and you'll see, you can see the pinnacle. It's really easy self-drive up from Perth all the way up to Exmouth area. You've got the pinnacles, beautiful wildflowers, and of course the Ningaloo Reef. If you want to go swimming with the big fish, then we have the whale shark season, April to July, or the humpback season from August to October. They've had a good season this year. I think they normally have about 98% success rate of seeing them. And if you go out of those times, you can get to see the manta rays if you want to. There is luxury at South Salis, which is a beach safari camp nestled in the Cape Range National Park near Exmouth. And there's about, I think there's 15 Ecolux wilderness tents that you can see on the screen there. So, you know, you wake up to the sound of these butcher birds and the squawks of galahs. So it's just in the middle of nowhere. And you can see at night time, you see all those stars. It's pretty beautiful. If you want to go sailing around the Mingle Reef, there's a 3 or 5 day sailing trip you can do on this catamaran called the Sure Thing. Lots of water sports, snorkeling, turtles, watching for turtles, kayaking. Then you have the Mackerel Islands. And just put this in because not a lot of people have heard of the Mackerel Islands. You can see there, they're about 400 kilometers north of Exmouth, or if you fly from Perth into Onslow, you can access the islands from there. Great family holiday, a group getaway. There's actually 10 islands within the group, but only 2 of them you can actually stay on with accommodation. But amazing fishing, snorkeling, boating, nature watching, turtle watching, lots of things to do. And the other group of islands you might not have heard of before in Western Australia are the Abrolhos Islands, so just off of Geraldton. And again, they do a 3 or 5 day cruise around the islands. There's a group, the islands have 122 islands within the group. And it's, some of you would have known the area for where the Batavia was wrecked back in 1629. So Batavia is where Australia's worst mutiny happened. So you actually get to snorkel over the top of the vessel, as well as snorkeling the amazing coral there. It's one of the world's most important areas for the seabird breedings, and it's also a big lobster area as well. So very wildlife cruise. Of course, I'm sure all of you know Perth, and I'm sure a lot of you already been, but don't forget, it's a beautiful holiday to jump over there. You've got the wineries, you've got the gin distilleries, you've got the chocolate places, you've got going down to Albany and seeing the Anzac Centre there. Perth itself is a beautiful city, and again, you can spend a week there. Rottnest Island is definitely a day trip, or if you want, you can spend overnight there as well, because there's a new glamping eco resort. Most people get the ferry over, but if you want to do something different, you can jump on a plane to head over there as well. Now, we do have a new walking supplier. So their tours range from 4 to 13 days, and it's not about camping at night time. You are in a comfortable bed, so it's pretty good. And it depends on where you are, depends on the difficulty of the tour. So we have walks in Western Australia. Cape to Cape is probably the most famous one. The probably most famous one in the Northern Territory is the Larapinta Trail. This is 7 days. The shortest walk you do in a day is 2 kilometers. The longest you do is about 16 kilometers. So it is moderate. Some of the walks are short, and some of the longer walks will have to bit uneven underfoot. So you have to have some stability there. So something to think about if you love walking. Indian Pacific, we can get you there on the train which goes from Sydney to Perth or Adelaide to Perth and vice versa. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the Garn as well. So you've got from Adelaide up to Darwin or vice versa. And again, it is getting booked out. So if you are wanting to go on this, I would try and book that ASAP. The where2travel consultants will be able to help you out, but you do have 2 classes you can choose from, the gold class and the platinum class. Sorry guys, I'm rushing because I know that I've got lots to talk, and you've been online for a while now. But quickly, the Northern Territory, this is absolutely my favourite part of Australia. When I got here as an English backpacker all those years ago, I fell in love with Darwin, and it still is my favourite part of Australia. Very different to Victoria. I know a lot of people have made the effort and headed up to the Northern Territory, but what I love about it, for example, is the communication to the rest of the world started in Alice Springs at the telegraph station. So if you go to Alice, you've got to go to the telegraph station there. So as I said, Darwin is my favorite part of Australia. Beautiful, tropical, vibrant city. Got some great markets, as you can see from the photo there. This is Mindle Beach. You have to go there on a Thursday or Sunday during the dry season. So it is a wet and dry city. So dry is from your April to October, and then wet is your humid, wet, rainy season the rest of the time. Litchfield National Park is a smaller national park, so if you've only got a day free, this is the place you need to go to. Really easy to get to from Darwin. You can do it self-driving or jumping on a tour. We I thoroughly recommend, if you want to head to Kakadu National Park, then you do need at least overnight in the park there, because it's a long way to travel just to travel back the same day. Amazing wildlife, waterfalls and Aboriginal culture. Ayers Rock, there is only one Ayers Rock, and you find it in the centre of Australia. So otherwise known as Uluru, the indigenous name. Now, a lot of people do get it a little bit mixed up that it is just by Alice Springs, but it's actually a 5-hour drive from Alice Springs. Now, you probably are all aware you can't climb it anymore, but honestly, you don't need to climb it. You can walk around it, you can jump on a bike, you can jump on a Harley Davidson, and just feel the, I don't know, something magical about it. And within my job, and I've been to the area quite a few times, and every time it gets me, it is just magical. And then Kachaduta is the second icon in the region, the Olgas. It's only 40 minutes away from Uluru. So if you just fly in and out of Uluru, these are the two major things that you will definitely see. There is a third icon in the region, which is Kings Canyon. It is a 2.5-hour trip away from Uluru or Alice Springs. It's kind of in the center. It is our mini Grand Canyon. If you have the time, thoroughly recommend going there, because it is completely different to the other two icons in the center. There's a camp or a hotel stay at Kings Canyon Resort, and the walk you can do around the top of the canyon. As you can see, there are no barriers. You do have to be very careful. It's a 200-meter drop there, but it's about 3.5 hours walk, and it is absolutely beautiful, and one of the best walks in the center. All right, just heading very quickly to South Australia. Don't forget South Australia. A lot of Victorians, we do forget about it sometimes, but it's an amazing place. You get to see some really nice wineries and, again, gin distilleries. You've got the P.S. Murray Princess, which is where you jump on this old vessel that's been around for a long time and just cruise along the Murray. Flinders Ranges, Kangaroo Island. So again, you can quite easily spend a lot of time over in Adelaide exploring all these different areas. And then lastly, my last area to quickly talk about are Australia's Indian Ocean Islands, Cocos and Christmas. And for those who don't know where it is, here's the map. So you do have to get to Perth to be able to fly to both islands. Now, both islands are part of Australia, so you don't need a passport to get there, which is pretty good. To get to Christmas Island, the flights leave on a Tuesday and Friday. 3.5 hours to get to Christmas Island, an hour and a half to Cocos, and then 4 hours back to Perth again. So if you're going to one of the islands, I thoroughly recommend going to the other, because they're two completely different areas. Now, Christmas and Cocos are now both open to Western Australian residents, and hopefully very soon to the rest of the country. As I've written there, so different, but so few people have been there. It's one of those untouched diamonds that people don't know about, or unfortunately only know the bad things about Christmas Island. So I will talk about the elephant in the room, the detention center. Yes, it is here on Christmas Island, but honestly, if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't have a clue that it was there. It's basically, the media have done this amazing thing about refugees running around the island, etc., etc. That never happened. They're in a detention center, and as I say, the only reason it's there is because it's been on the media. So think of Christmas Island of the shape of a dog. Everything happens in the head of the dog, and then you do excursions to the rest of the body to see the Dales, which is a beautiful waterfall, the blowholes, which is the water blowing up through the rugged coastline. You've got Dolly Beach, where you get to see the big robber crabs. And then birds, if you love birds, you will see lots of birds over there as well. So probably the major thing are the red crabs. Christmas Island is 2/3 national park with approximately 60 million red crabs, and every year they have to leave the jungle to have their babies. This does happen anywhere between October and January, and then part of the migration that people want to see is normally when the ladies are laying their eggs in the ocean. Golf, fishing, birds over there. There's actually 7 birds that are endemic to the island. So this is the frigate bird, but you also have 3 types of booby birds, the golden bosun, and you can get really up close to all of these. And the snorkeling and diving is magnificent on the island, because it's untouched. There's been so few humans going over there, and no bleaching, and it's really easy to walk in from the shoreline. Then very quickly, Cocos Island, as you can see, very different to Christmas Island, because it is an atoll. So there's 27 islands within that atoll, and it's basically anything and everything to do with water. So beautiful Maldive looking, you know, crystal clear waters, golden sands, amazing snorkeling and diving. You've got motorized kayak trips, turtle watching. You've got golf course over there. You've got barge is an art gallery. So there is a lot to see on the islands as well. Whew. And that's me really, really quickly. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them now. Obviously, I don't want to take all of your evening up, and there's a lot to go through, but all I can say is think about holidaying here this year, because there are some amazing parts of Australia that hopefully you will be able to experience once the borders open up. And that is me relatively, hopefully, quickly.
I think it's been very, very instructional tonight, and you've opened up so many aspects of travelling within this great country of ours that we had no idea about, really. A lot of food for thought there, and a lovely presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's the thing, you know, it's like me being English. I've seen more of Australia than I have my own backyard. You know, I've done France and I've done Spain, and that is literally it. So amazing.
Dare I say, you've got a lot more appreciation too than many Australians have. It's lovely to hear.
Oh, thank you very much. Any questions? I will just have a look at here. Yes, I will get a copy of this recording to where2travel, and then so if you can just email your consultant, if you have a consultant at where2travel, or let Bianca know your email address, and we will definitely get one sent over to you. Any other questions? There we go. Single supplements, yes, there are some, depending what you go on. So it's just a matter of letting us know what you're interested in, and we can investigate. So some of the cruising, for example, do have single sups. Normally it's the smaller vessels, but sometimes the larger vessels do have single stops. Some of the touring across the Kimberley also have, so in Style Adventures, I know they have allow people to go as a single person, and if you don't mind being put with someone else, some of the companies will allow you to do that as well. So it's just a matter of giving letting your agent know, and we will investigate for you.
Does the Silver Seas tour go from Darwin at all?
It does, yes. Silver Seas goes from Darwin to Broome, or vice versa.
Cool, thank you.
So
is that as all Silver Seas, like as fantastic as all Silver Seas ships are?
I've not been on a Silver Sea ship anywhere else, but from what I know, I mean, like it's always, to be honest with you, there's the companies we work in the Kimberley are the good companies, the good ones with good reputations, ones that people love to go on. And you often find if you're a Silver Seas passenger, absolutely you're gonna love going on Silver Seas in the Kimberley region. So it all depends what you're after as well. Like Silver Seas, you know, they have a butler. If you don't want a butler, you don't go on Silver Seas necessarily, you know. It just little things like that. The bigger vessels, a little bit more luxurious because they have balconies on board, and say they have the Penant, you know, brand new vessels. It's got as I said, a hospital on board, an underwater bar, a lecture theatre, and it's the only swimming pool in the Kimberleys, because you probably are all aware you can't swim in the Kimberleys. So having a pool on board or a spa like Great Escape is quite refreshing at night time. You can swim in some of the waterfalls, but you can't just jump in the ocean or the river systems up there, otherwise you become crocodile bait.
Oh, fun.
Which isn't very good. All right, what have we got here? Yep, no more questions. Any more questions? No, all good. If you do think of anything, then obviously, you know, speak to where2travel and they can help you out. But there is so much to see in Australia, and I hope I have given you some insight. There is so much to talk about, and if I brushed over something, then I apologize. But you know, obviously, I can go into more depth with your where2 consultant, it's just enjoy. Australia is amazing, and I can say that I've been very lucky. I've been to most of it. So it's beautiful. So get out there when we can, see Australia and enjoy. Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy.
Thanks so much to Amanda and for everyone for joining us tonight. If you do have any questions, just reach out to your designated travel consultant and they'll be in touch with you soon.
Lovely.
Thanks. Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe. Thank
you.
you.
Just
Bye.
might ask a question before you go.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
It was just to ask about how you put a chat, how you do the writing on the screen. I'm sorry to be so ignorant.
Not at all, not at all. So if you go on your screen, if you hover on your screen, you can see, can you see it says chat?
Yes, I've got that.
Yeah, if you click on that, you should be able to type a message.
Then you type the message and it says to everyone, but how do you send it?
Can you, or then you just press the, hold on. Enter, yes, thank you.
Well, that's something that's missing. I don't see enter.
So on your computer, you see the enter button?
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. Oh, thanks.
No, that's all good.
I'm sorry to get a tutorial here.
That's fine. We're all learning, so it's good because you know, think of the positive things that's happening with the coronavirus. We're all learning different things.
Well, I just pressed enter so that it's nothing important, but it was just to say thank you again.
Thank you so much, Peter. That's really lovely. Thank you.
There you are.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
See ya.